What do you think about these dating apps? Because one of the things I've brought up before is that when women were before dating apps, before websites for dating, a man and a woman in college together, their dating pool was the same dating pool for the most part.
Right.
20-year-old woman has the same social circle as a 20-year-old man. So the likelihood of her dating someone within her age range and at the college is high. With dating apps, the likelihood that she's now going to pull up an app and find a 35-year-old guy who's got a convertible and an infinity pool infinitely higher. And so it's very simple. It's not that the woman doesn't like the guy at her school. It's just that she gets 2 text messages. One's the 20-year-old guy who's in her class and says, hey, we're going to go sit in the train tracks and like drink 40s. And then the other message she gets is from the guy who's like, hey, I'm going to take the convertible down for a spin and go to the beach and look at the stars, and which one's she going to pick? Women have preferences, so maybe someone will be like, I'd rather take the 40. But I think there's a tendency, because the wealthier guy, the established guy, has more opportunities for fun and excitement and adventure.
Yeah.
These college women are more likely to choose that. It's just opened up the world for them, and it's allowed these older guys to get access to younger women in ways they couldn't before.
Sure.
So that means that guys who are, college age right now, Gen Z, they're going to struggle in the same way, in a similar way to millennials, in that 20-year-old. I was talking to a guy a couple of years ago. He was like 24 and he was a virgin, and he had no idea what to do because no matter what, the women weren't interested in dating him. He was a normal guy. He wasn't a creepy weirdo. He was like a regular guy. And I was like, bro, I guess at this point you just got to like walk up to somebody and say, hello, I'd like to, nice to meet you. I live in the area or something like that. And he's like, you can't do that. Okay. You're a creep if you do that.
No. So, okay. Please keep coaching him.
I haven't talked to that guy since I met him years ago. So I don't know. I don't remember his name.
So any guy like that. Because really, that's just an excuse. Because he's too shy to go over because you don't want to be rejected.
I don't think so. I think you'll end up on Twitter with someone filming you, calling you a creep. They'll post your picture on Instagram and say, this creepo was harassing me. They get points for it.
That's very sad.
They get views, they get likes, they get subscribers.
Well, those women are going to be alone then, so that's very sad.
But I think that, look, I'd imagine the average woman would not do that.
Right.
Probably just be like, I'm flattered. Have a nice day.
Yeah,
But the landmines are there.
No, sure. The landmines are there for everybody. We're all afraid of something we're going to say, something we're going to tweet, something we're going to write, something we're going to say on your podcast, your YouTube show. But we got to take risks in life because we don't move forward without taking risks. And in fact, risk-taking men are attractive to women, again, because they make decisions. I may fail, but I'm going to try. I'm going to do it. And that is actually very attractive. Not every woman is going to be attracted to every man. I mean, a man can come to me at a party and kind of say he's interested, and I don't find him, whatever. He's not for me. I'm not going to be rude to him, but it doesn't mean I have to date him. He may get rejected. I could do the same thing to a guy where I'm not necessarily going up to him, hey, dude, but that flirtation, you start talking, and then I could sort of see he's looking over my shoulder, and which is not so hard because I'm little, and just not be interested in me, and then it'll hurt my ego for a second, and then I'll move on. Dating isn't easy. You have to take risks, and when you take those risks, you're going to end up with probably a woman that you really want to be with, because that's the woman you were waiting for, and you risked a lot for, and you got rejected for a lot. People, well, why do these guys, they're not cute or whatever it is, they always hit on the women? Well, yeah, because they're used to rejection. What's one more? The good looking guy, with everything going for him, he's rarely rejected. So when he sees a woman he really likes, he's too shy to go up to her because he doesn't want to feel rejected because he's not used to that.
There's another, I guess you call it a trope, that attractive women are less likely to actually get hit on randomly, because guys will assume they don't have a chance, so they won't bother, and they'll go for women who are lower in the ranking in their minds, less attractive. They'll see a woman, they're like, wow, she's a 9. She would never go for me.
Right.
That woman's a 7. I'll try and hit on her.
Yeah.
And so...
And I don't understand why you're still single. I mean, you're gorgeous. You're doing so well in life. I mean, I don't know. Well, because the guys didn't ask me out. I mean, I'm talking about me specifically. But yeah, well, that's why we have so many women do so well. Well, I mean, she's not going to say yes to me. Well, in fact, guys, give it a shot. Again, women want to know that they're that they're admired, that they're liked, that they're being courted, that somebody's interested in them. Show you're interested. It's actually really attractive. And yeah, it doesn't mean all the time you're going to get the right feedback that you want. Okay, you move on.
I went through when I was kind of going through that phase where I stopped talking to really hot girls. Not stop talking to them, but I wouldn't hit on them or like try and get together with them because I thought they probably get hit on all the time. So I don't want to be one of those guys. So I would just completely, and there'd be girls I really was attracted to, but I wouldn't because I was like, I'm not going to contribute to that. Toxic masculine. I was like, 2007.
Feminist
8,
propaganda, Ian.
It
holding you back.
It was.
I've had 2 guys in my life who I really liked, who 5, 10, whatever years later, I really liked you, but I was just a little too, I didn't ask you out or what? And I was just dying for them to ask me out, right? So guys, take a chance. Ask the woman out, please.
Yeah, the worst case scenario is that you end up on some Reddit where they're blasting your face, calling you a creepo.
Out of context.
Yeah.
Likely all of us in this room have been in a Reddit conversation like that. We are still here to talk about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, me,
Yeah.
like every day. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So now you have somebody to talk about on the date.
They're going to take, this is going to be one of the best episodes for the grifters because there's so much to take out of context.
Oh,
it's brilliant.
So much. Yeah.
That's why I said
You're welcome.
When we were talking about the women struggling to find men who make as much money as them, like when I did like 2 segments in like 2 days because there was another story that came out of similar. Feminist Twitter exploded, and the funniest thing about it is that these single women working for these news outlets immediately went for attacks on my masculinity. Saying, just insulting me and insulting things that I guess would be offensive to someone based on stereotypical masculinity or whatever. And I just I'm laughing. My friends are so these other YouTubers messaging me, sending me the screenshots, and we're just laughing, crying. It's hilarious. Because I don't think they realize that I don't care. If I cared, I wouldn't make YouTube videos. Heaven forbid someone who actually cared about being made fun of on the internet would actually put themselves out on the internet. I guess there's a lot of people who work for these news outlets, particularly feminists and leftists, who can't handle it. It's like, dude, if you don't want to be a public figure, don't do it. Man, I chose to do all this. I find it hilarious.
What are they possibly putting down about your masculinity?
No, they just do things they do this to everybody. They'll be like, you can't get laid, and they'll say, just things like that.
Because I met your girlfriend, and she's gorgeous and a body. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm not worried about you and your masculinity.
But I don't care. I know
you don't care, but it makes, look, this is their content. This is what they do, whether they're paid for it or not. This is the type of content that they like to write about. This is what they know. And it's heartbreaking for me because I want them to be loved by a man, and I want them to love a man.
They say incel, right?
Yeah.
So one of my favorites is, are you familiar with Carl Benjamin?
I don't think so.
Carl Benjamin of the Lotus Eaters podcast, by the way. He's anti-identitarian. He used to make a lot of anti-feminist videos, and they call him an incel all the time. A direct attack on his masculinity. He's like, haha, you can't get laid. He's married. He has children. Same thing with Ben Shapiro. They're like, Ben Shapiro's an incel. It's like, he's got, how many kids does he have now? 3?
Yeah, 3, yeah. Right.
What are we talking about? I don't think Ben Shapiro is insulted by your attacks on his masculinity. He's got a wife who's a doctor, by the way.
I heard.
And he has 3 kids. So it's really interesting that they do this. That one of the attack vectors for this particular ideology is, do they, maybe it's a caricature. They constantly say there's toxic masculinity and these men are toxically masculine. So because of that, they think men will be insulted if you challenge their masculinity or maleness or whatever you want to call it.
They could be projecting.
Yeah.
In general, millennials and Gen Z are not having, certainly Gen Z, they're not having sex as much as Gen X. And not referring about me because I wasn't either, but in general, they're not having a lot of sex, partly because they are just on the apps or they're too lazy to actually get off the couch instead of sex, to actually have real sex. I am sure, I don't know, I'm not a man. I'm sure that it's much more satisfying for a man to actually have sex with a woman than to sext her from his couch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Chances are, right. So look, women, as much as women talk about that, they want to have sex like men, they just, they're just going to hook up, the hookup thing. Truth is, Women don't really want to have sex like that. Most women do not want that. It doesn't feel good to, for a guy to just get out of bed. Okay, well, thanks. Women have all these chemicals that are floating around that make them feel sort of depressed afterward if they don't feel that connection long-lasting way. So it could be actually that they're projecting. But whatever it is, it just seems like they're talking about the things that they want most, and that fear is stopping them from getting what they want.
I think it's projection. There was a story that came out, I think about a year ago, that I can't remember what it was, but it was like the amount of men under the age of 29 that were virgins like skyrocketed by like 30 something percent.
Yeah.
And it was like 15% or so for women, meaning women were still able to get laid, but not with men who were 29 and younger. And so a lot of these socialist types and woke leftist types who are active on Twitter are younger.
Mm-hmm.
We've one of the things that's come up in conversation with some of these individuals on this show is that we realize they're in their early 20s, they're in their mid 20s.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the same political experience. So when we're having conversations about war and conflict and taxes, they're like, I don't know Occupy Wall Street. I was, 15 years old or whatever. And it's like, oh,
Right.
interesting. So and there's things about the 90s that I don't know because I wasn't, I was a little kid back then. So someone
Right.
could tell me about Clinton and all that stuff. They're older. So a lot of these people on Twitter who are like democratic socialists, and they're not all in their 20s,
Right.
but there's a high likelihood that they're all virgins. And because of that, they feel particularly insecure. Because that makes them feel bad, they think saying it to me makes me feel bad. Or Ben Shapiro, who's got children, like
Right.
the hardest proof of not being an incel, literally conception, but they're hurt by it. So they use it thinking
Right.
it'll hurt you.
And it's one thing to say, oh, well, you're probably a virgin, still virgin, like you sound like you're in high school or something. Just that tone of voice, not that many high schoolers, I hope, are virgins. But incel, which is like a dark version of virgin, meaning
They're not necessarily virgins.
right. They just decide that they're not
Involuntarily. So
not
something happened where they're
right.
unable, and it can become really, really dark. And it can be, a lot of these people could be outwardly dark or inwardly, meaning some of these people blame society and blame everybody else. And some of these people blame themselves and think they're just wrong and ugly and incapable.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And we were talking about girls who really are mean to other girls, social media, because toxic masculinity is a man, punching a woman. Toxic femininity are girls sort of bad-mouthing each other or being passive-aggressive and not liking the photo. Like girls are mean in other ways. But the fact that they're mean to men is sort of like why are you doing this? What, don't you have other things to do? Like, this is not a productive, thing to do with your life. So yeah, guys, get off the couch.
Get off Twitter.
Get off Twitter. Get off everything. And go ask a woman out on a date.
Here's the trick.
Yeah.
Here's the trick. You have a dog?
No.
No.
Okay, if you're a guy, you need a dog, okay?
Yeah.
Here's what you do.
Yeah.
You go down to the beach, you have the dog, and there's some, like women, and, they're like hanging out. And then, oh no, the dog, he got off the leash. Oh, Rufus. Oh no, I'm so sorry. He just loves people. What's your name? Hi, I'm Tim. Nice to meet you.
Thank
This
you.
is Rufus.
Correct. This is how you do it. Guys, for the most part, women are not going to destroy you if you ask them out, if you flirt with them. And you know what? You should know. If a woman doesn't seem like she's interested, like, move on, right? Like, don't harass her. I mean, we have to understand that. But also, women, like, if you think he's interesting, at least for a conversation, like, don't decide you have to marry him if you go on a date with him. It's okay. And by the way, dating is fun. Gosh, you get to go out with somebody you've never met until recently, and you get to learn about them. You'll learn a little bit about yourself. Maybe you'll have a nice glass of wine. If you're lovely, you won't be upset if he actually points to, how about this bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon? And you go on from there. Enjoy life. This is life. Enjoy it.
I got some advice for people who feel like they're stuck in a rut. Go to a MMA training gym. Well, maybe it's not good advice because I don't know much about MMA training gyms, but you can go to like a martial arts gym. I used to live near one, And maybe you're out of shape. Maybe you're a homebody who plays video games. You're lost. You know what to do. I assure you, if you walk into one of these places and say, I feel lost, I lay around playing video games, I want to do better, these guys in there are going to be like, dude, let me show you how to throw a punch. Come here, join the crew. We're going to make you. And it's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
For me, skateboarding was always this, I would just show up. Everyone's having a good time. You meet people. You'll be sitting down. But then I'll tell you this. Whatever it is you choose to do in terms of physical activity and community and making yourself better, some kind of physical exercise, you're going to encounter that challenge. So for me, skateboarding, right? You want to drop in on this big vert wall. It's scary. You're freaking out. I assure you, you fall down from like your first 6-foot drop in and hit the ground and you're sore and you're okay though. When you're out at the park and you see, you know, a woman or whatever, you're going to be like, I just took a face full of, you know, concrete. Someone telling me have a nice day is no big deal. So you build that companionship through community by going to some kind of gym and just sticking with it.
Yeah.
And people, like, I assure you, man, most people at these places are super excited to get people involved and help them out. And most people are good people. And then you build confidence in yourself by accomplishing something and improving yourself. And then you can be calm and polite and go and meet people, whether it's a guy or a woman or, you know, just to be friends or to find a relationship. It just starts with that first step.
Start that company you want. Women too. And if you're not ready to go to the gym because of COVID, and there's so many free YouTube video, like I mean, amazing stuff out there. You know, just start a lot. You know, weight training is really good. It's good for cognition. It's good for how you feel. Just start moving and.
But you know, the big thing is being at the gym with other people.
Totally.
Because they're the ones who are going to, like, one day you don't show up and you're going to get a phone call and they'll be like, bro,
accountability.
What are you doing?
Accountability is huge. I actually have 2 girlfriends I met at the gym. I was going to the gym before COVID, 6 a.m. every morning. Had these 2 girlfriends and we became friends. Then this happened. So we would text each other. I found this class online. I found this. Now I've got these people I used to, we were in a co-work space together. Now we accountability. Every day we say, okay, just did 40 minutes cardio. Oh, I just did yoga. I just, wait. Okay, and we give each other literally the star emoji because that's cool. And but accountability is really good. So find yourself accountability friend, accountability coach, somebody who you can check in with, and they don't have to be better than you at whatever it is. Just a buddy.
That's a good point. I was playing music was mine and singing because I would get ripped. My core would get ripped when you're like hitting high notes and like Brandon Boyd from Incubus. I mean, when you're like doing that, you get powerfully muscular in your core. But the confidence doesn't come until you have a communication friend, like a drummer. Like when you're in a band and you're exhausted and you're interacting with someone. Then when you see a girl, you just do the same thing you've been doing. You're not stressed because you've already figured it out. But when I was alone singing, I would still be stressed because I didn't have the communication friend.
Right. But that's why we need a partner.
Shows are similar.
Book a show and then you're standing in front of 70 strangers and you're like, oh man, and then you got to do it.
Sure. And that point about you and the drummer, right? That's you're better at you when somebody else is in your life. When somebody else, you need that connection. You need that energy back and forth. And I'm sure the drummer felt great because as you're singing and he's going or she's going, I mean, that's what creates amazing music and amazing connections, amazing relationships.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.